Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Tigers Talk on the To Humber Back podcast and Humber Wave Radio. We have no AD tonight.
No.
His absence, I am reliably informed we are still on Humber Wave Radio, so greetings to everybody there. Unfortunately, you do not have the WhatsApp number to get in contact with us tonight, but if you jump over to the To Humber Back socials on Facebook, on Twitter, X, and on YouTube, you can get in touch with us through that way, even though you wouldn't normally listen to us through those platforms. You're still supporting the show. You're still supporting Humber Wave Radio, and we thank you for listening. Anyway, I'm Joe Collins.
And hello, my name's Chris Sorensen.
I'm Paul Wright.
There we go. It's easier with three in it.
Yeah, a lot easier. We'll get rid of him now.
We don't need him. Don't need him.
His days are numbered.
With the housekeeping out of the way, I do actually have a message from AD that I said to him I would read out. He said to me, "These are my thoughts for the show. I'll say that playing Rushworth for the past 2 games was stupid. The club known about the possibility he could still go back and to upset Panda was stupid. I also think taking off Harry Vaughan last night was a mistake. Drama not good enough, missed Coyle and should have started Matty Jacob."
Yeah, well,
and there's there's a bit to unpack there, Paul. We'll start with overall what you thought of the game, Paul.
Well, I don't think we deserve to lose. That's my opinion. I don't think they did enough to win the game, personally. I think we just made a couple of mistakes. And I thought second half, we come out, we seemed to be a little bit on top, I thought, when they scored. But, what I can't understand is playing these players out of position. It just really grates on me. I mean, as much as McLaughlin did all right at Millwall, he's not a left-back. And you've got Jones, who isn't a left-sided defender, he's a right-sided one. And I put Jones in the sort of category of Curtis Davis. The good defenders, they do the simple stuff right. And, they pass the ball 10 or 15 yards to somebody, and that sort of thing. We was asking him to be the sort of McLaughlin or Hughes or Dawson from ages ago, where they was making the passes, and that isn't his game. His game's defending, and you're putting him out. I thought it was just a silly mistake putting it out at one. I think Jacob should have played yesterday and put maybe McLaughlin at left and Jones at his normal right, and obviously Drama at the right back. I can't understand it. And then we put, Geldart on the wing. He's not a winger. He got a lot better in the second half when he moved inside a little bit and got a bit more of the ball. He's not a winger, but they do it all the time, and I just don't understand it. As much as we've improved a lot under the manager at the moment, under Walters it was the same, wasn't it? We're slowly getting the ball forward, playing people out of position, not making many chances, and it happened again last night. And I don't know. I fear for the rest of the season unless these new players make a big difference, which obviously we've got to hope they do. I mean, I just don't know where we're going with it, because I don't know why I don't play 2 up front. They could play 4-3-1-2 to me. Put Geldart behind him. He's got a bit of skill as the lad, and he's not had a lot of game time with Leeds. And I think I know he played it for, I think it was for Wigan against us, and he was the best player on the pitch at the time. All right, he's missed a bit with Leeds. He hasn't played a lot. I'm not saying he should be automatically in, but when he came inside, you could see there was a player there. And I mean, the best player on the pitch, forget his name. The midfielder.
Alzate.
Oh, yeah. He's different class. He is absolutely different class. He's a class above our team, I think. He's so cool on the ball. He's like a young Seri, isn't he? But he's certainly a class above our team. And, it's a good job we've got him at the moment, I think, because everybody else seems to panic when they get the ball. But he doesn't. No matter 3 or 4 around him, he still takes the ball. I just fear for us this season. I say, unless the new starters come along and make a massive difference. Last night, I thought we deserved a draw. I don't think they was much better than us. They just took the chances, didn't they? And a couple of mistakes here and there. But they defended okay, and, we struggled to create anything. It's the creativity that we lack, and that's what we need. Somebody who can be creative. I don't know the kid from Monaco. Is he a creative midfielder?
Holding midfielder is Elliot Matazzo, and we'll come on to transfers later on. And the system change is something that's on my list to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know what you two thought about last night, but as I say, I don't think we deserved to lose. But then again, I don't think we deserved to win because I don't think we did enough to win the game.
To me, it felt like QPR didn't have an awful lot of quality. I know they're a bit further up the league than us, but they've managed to just put a run together where we haven't and where we need to. But it felt like they won that game without having to do an awful lot, Christian.
Yeah, it's exactly that. I mean, look, I'm going to agree on some points and disagree on other points, I guess, because that's what we do here.
Best way.
I mean, it's the best way. Let's get it all out. Let's put all the cards out on the table now, gents. Let's look at it individually. Start off with before I go into like the form performance. Let's just admit, left back is a huge problem. You just can't play Magok in there. He did a job, but
he did a job for the game that he needed to do a job for. Millwall, they're a huge side, and at the end you always need that extra height. At home, against QPR, you could probably surrender him, even though their back four were huge.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about that big back four in a second because commenting here that Sayers had a bad game and everything seemed wrong. Subs made worse, too late. I'll come back to that because I think he got the starting.
Well, that's something. Yeah, I think that's something we need to discuss. I mean, starting wise, with respect to Joe Gelhardt as well. Yes, his better position is in and behind the striker. It's obvious, because obviously that's where his goal came from. Literally where he tucked inside, and what a goal! I mean, what a goal! You know, it was a stretch. It was a good connection at the same time, and it looped perfectly over the keeper into that crossbar, kind of pinged down into the back of the net, and it was a great goal to see, and you felt a bit of energy from it. But in the same time, we've been played on the wing. I will say the positive side of it was I loved how he ran at the opposition defenders with the ball and forced them to backtrack. I absolutely love that, and that's something that I wish Kamara did a lot more with confidence. And pushed them back, because I thought Joe Gelhardt was the standout player for us last night, alongside someone who definitely shouldn't have been substituted off and definitely not replaced by Bairstow, was Harry Vaughan. He's taken a lot of stick on the socials for well, he's had a lot of compliments, but then at the same time, his other half gave him a lot of stick because of his size and weight. I get it. He's not a big guy. I get it. He can get knocked off the ball. But did you see how many times he got knocked off the ball and won as a free kick in an attacking position? I mean, I think the very first foul, he should have, I've forgotten what their right back was called.
Jimmy Dunn.
A giant.
The giant, yeah. Well, he threw him to the ground, and I'm like, hang about, you're not giving him a card. Yeah. He was just, no. And me talking about the referee, by the way, later on, I'm going to be laying into some decisions that he was making because it felt extremely one-sided, but that's a different part of it. I agree with how you stated with Jones, Paul. I think on the left-hand side is more of the kind of the playmaking side from the centre-backs, and he's the guy that you need just solid, but that goal line clearance that he did, even though it was an excellent clearance, but unfortunately, the ball still ended up in the back of our net.
Yeah.
Drame, all of today in training, Sunbeam, you better be practicing crosses. You better be practicing how to cross a ball into the box, because
someone teach that man how to cross a football.
He needs to learn how to cross a ball.
Yeah.
Was, I didn't see a single one put into that box with any pace, any accuracy or direction. It was just kicking up. And it was just awful performance, really. Overall.
The poor game did drama.
Yeah, the poor game. I think look, this guy also gets a lot of stick, and I think after last night he's going to take a load more stick. Is Reagan Slater, who had a very poor game. usually I'm in his corner, backing him up, saying, look, you guys don't see all the running he does and all the communication he does to everybody else. But unfortunately, yesterday, he was just he was all over the place. I couldn't tell what Reagan's kind of role was, if I'm honest with you. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish a lot of the times. So, I mean, he had a poor game. Alzate, again, standard. He's got class, but you could see he was getting tired. I don't understand.
Just with Matazzo coming in,
I
would like to see what Alzate is like if he's played slightly more advanced and he's playing alongside Gustavo in that Regan Slater role. I think the ability to get further forward with his his technical ability, how good he is on the ball, that license to do that could show us another side to him in a sense, because Matazzo is more of a defensive player, holding midfield player, and that could allow Alzate to do something else he's good at, which is getting forward. We saw that a little bit in the Premier League when he was at Brighton. So he did have a decent shot in the first half, didn't he? Just about a yard wide, I think it was.
He had a good crack at it.
So
I
think he has got a bit about him up front, sort of behind the forwards, rather than staying further back, taking it off the defence all the time. This one from Monaco can do that. Yeah, man up, push him a bit further forward. Seems a good move.
I think Puerta last night as well, though, was one of those where the effort was look, the effort was there. Yeah, I mean, look, he was snapping at ankles. He was trying to get everything, but he kept getting pulled out of shape. And I think that was down to QPR as well. I mean, look, first half, I think we can all agree we were unlucky to really not be ahead. I would say in the first half, I think we were good for it. I think we were really good for it. The second half, though, when they did their substitutions, their first set of substitutions with their striker and Chair came off on the left, and brought on the what's he called, the Japanese lad who scored the goal. So it took about 5 minutes of me sat there watching it. And I just turned to the missus and I went, the dynamic of the game's changed and he's going to get a goal. And my missus was like, nah. I went, give it 5 minutes. Just watch. And I saw Reagan get pulled out. And I was like, this is it. And he went 1-on-1. Meg's drama. Boom. And I was just like, what did I just say? You could see how when they brought on their substitutions, it was a tactical change across the pitch. And we
proactive, whereas last night Sayers was reactive, and this is where I want to bring in what I was going to say earlier about how I think he got the team selection wrong. McLaughlin left back shouldn't have done it.
No.
Although he played well, I think it was the wrong game to start Harry Vaughan in as well. Because now I am Harry's biggest defender. I'll defend Harry to the hilt, but hear me out. He was class last night. Shouldn't have been subbed. Agreed. Turned into a toddler as soon as he gets anywhere near the box. It's like he has a mental block, but his build-up play was fantastic. Like you said, Christian, wins the foul, one foul so well. But you look at the size of him.
Oh, yeah.
And you look at the size in comparison of Ronnie Edwards and Jimmy Dunn.
Mm-hmm.
That right side to Harry on the left was a mismatch. And it was always going to be super, super difficult for him to do anything in the game. And I think it was the wrong change for Sayers to make to bring him off, absolutely. But this is, like I say, I think it was the wrong game to start him in the first place. You bring him on with his energy, with his pace, with him making them step back a yard in the 65th minute or whatever it was when he made the changes. It's a totally different situation. Bairstow stunk up the gaff when he turned up. He was dropped because he's feeling ill, and I think he needs to think he needs to have another couple of days in bed, to be honest with you, if that's what it was going to
play. It wasn't good. The second he come on, he didn't. I can't even. There's not even a word for it of how out of place he looked. He just he couldn't settle the ball. He was all over the place. He looked out of position. He just didn't look like he knew exactly what was going on. And it was just a disappointing one. And I still to this day will keep saying Bairstow should not ever be on a wing. He's not a winger.
Well, that's what's always confused me, Christian. He played out wide and he scored his 2 goals, right? But they were off the bench. When he started out wide, which is not his natural position, he's got away with a lot of criticism. Let's be honest. He's got away free of it, and it's again like it's playing players out of position, and this is where I want to bring in as we approach 16 minutes on the show tonight on Humber Wave Radio and the Hull and Back podcast. You are listening to Tigers Talk with me, Christian, and Paul No-AD tonight. I want to talk about system change because it's not just the 4-3-3 that Ruben played at Reading. He got more success with it, but a 4-2-2 was what he first tried, which I think with the players we've got here, or some form of other system change, be it to a 3-back, 5-back, keeping 4 at the back and shuffling the midfield round, whatever it might be, I think could work. Because what we need, João Pedro was not in that game last night and still played all 90-plus minutes. I genuinely cannot remember João touching the ball in the 18-yard box, just outside the box.
I don't think he did. He
never got a chance to get on the ball. And what he needs is someone to play off him and do the dirty work. And then they create the chances that João helps create, but this time João's in the box to finish them off. When there's a cross in, João's in the box to try and get on the end of it. We saw his headers against, West Brom, and Swansea was the other one, wasn't it, where he scored a good header?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Look at that. Look at those for headers.
Yeah.
We have him in that box. He's capable of winning it. He's a poacher. If it's pinging about, João Pedro will be in the right position to just put his foot through that ball and try and get it in the back of the net. So if we can get either Gelhardt or Kyle Joseph together, or, like I've been saying now, Gelhardt or Joseph up top next to Pedro, then I think we might have something going. We might be able to get João in games a bit more. We might be able to get more chances for João. Might be able to get more chances for ourselves. And I think we will talk about Sheffield United in a little bit more detail later on, but I think João needs a rest on Friday.
Yeah, I would disagree.
He has to. I mean, you can see, like I say, he didn't get a touch in the box, and all the touches he was getting was obviously deeper or in our own half, and there were tired touches because the ball got away from him. He tried to bring it back down on his second touch, and by that time happened, it was either intercepted or he was on the ground, because he was on the ground quite often last night. For being as deep as he was from his actual position of being up top, it was evident that we just didn't have kind of a striking opportunity or a forward striker opportunity. And I guess that goes back to like Harry Vaughan, where you look at the shots. I think it was Harry Vaughan who's probably took most of the shots that game, wasn't it? Whilst he was on, I think he had at least 5 or 6 in the first half attempts, though wide or just on the kind of the outside cusp. But I think moving and changing the kind of the system and the formation and setting it up that way, we've always said 2 up top, play off each other. The 3 up top is just too wide and too exposed for João by himself. He can't handle. It's a 2-on-1 situation. It's always a 2-on-1 situation for him. And most teams play with some sort of sitting midfielder So that almost ends up being a 3-on-1 situation. So, yeah, we need two up top. I think that's just evident. I'm looking forward to seeing Carl Joseph. However, I'm not expecting him to be a perfect goal scorer, as in that kind of sniper. He's the type of guy that I would say, from what we've seen, a very similar Bairstow-esque style of Bairstow likes to run in and kind of run off, but yet hasn't been given that chance. And I guess it comes down to, if we are sticking with the formation / system that we have, how are we going to be doing this with the players that we've been getting in or rumored to get in and things like that? Because wings are still an issue. Obviously, we're still after a winger, and that is a crazy mess at the moment about the winger situation. I guess we'll speak about that one very, very shortly.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, we will. And I still think Kamara isn't up to standard. I think he will need, he'll need the season and a pre-season to at least gain something. I agree with what everyone's saying about Harry, that he might need another loan out later on, but I guess we've got to wait and see how he's going to do for the remainder of this one. Sorry, John.
As we get in before we send Harry out on
exactly.
Yeah,
and I agree with that. We can't afford to lose Harry at the moment. I think Harry, to be honest, should be either named on the team sheet depending on the opposition, the first one, or at least that impact sub in the 65th minute whilst he's a speedy little Gonzalez attacking the opposition with the ball at his feet and forcing them to go back, because it brings a different dynamic when he's on the pitch.
It does have a different dynamic, doesn't he? You're right. He's that type of player. He gets the ball. He's willing to take him on. He's willing to come in. He tries to make things happen, which when people like Kamara, they don't try and make things happen. They get the ball, maybe do a shimmy here and there, then just pass it back. He doesn't do that very often. He obviously has to do it sometimes, but he just try and make something happen, which I like about him. I know he's only small, and he was up against a giant yesterday in that fella. How he's a full-back and not a centre-back, I just don't know. But
he is a centre-back by trade, but Edwards have got to play him.
Yeah, it's just, it was just a ridiculous mismatch in size, wasn't it? But he still tried his best, and things was happening on his side.
Yeah, he was sticking onto all three of them, Paul, wasn't he? He was going in between them. He was at them, and it was just positive.
Definitely.
It was just positive from him. So, and
that's what he likes to see, a little bit of positivity. I know you said about Pedro, and you're right, because we got a breakaway once, and there was Harry Vaughan developed by about 4 players round him, and we had nobody in the box. If he'd have got past him, he still couldn't pass it to anybody because there was nobody there. And this is the thing with Pedro. He's obviously doing his best, but he's having so much work to do. Coming back for corners, as you say, maybe challenging 3 defenders, because he don't stop. He has a go and tries to get to the ball, doesn't he? And this type of thing, put him under pressure, but you can't expect it all the time of him. Where 2 of them, you can do 50-50, can't you, a little bit, or leave it to the younger one a little bit. I don't understand where we go with this one attacker, because the wingers aren't attackers, are they? Vaughan maybe, but Kamara certainly isn't an attacking winger to me, so you're not getting anything off him. I just think, we need to find another forward. And obviously, up to this, Carl Joseph is the answer up there. And, with Geld out there, there's 1 or 2 other names in there which we'll probably talk about. But, we just need something up front, because that's the problem. It's not the defence. I know they let a couple of maybe a sloppy goal or 2 in yesterday, but we still are mad, getting loads past us. But we're not. We never look like scoring very often, do we? And this is the problem. We need to put the air defence under a bit more pressure, where they think, this team's capable of scoring. When we scored 3 against Leeds, you can't understand it, can you?
Yeah.
Leeds don't let many goals in. We scored 3.
I think one person that we keep rushing over, though, with respect to our defensive display, who was subbed, was Burns. I mean,
I thought he was good against Millwall, but I didn't think he was anywhere near as good against QPR.
But was it a bad performance?
It wasn't a bad performance. It was the standard of the whole team performance.
Exactly. Yeah. And he brought Burns off and moved McLaughlin on the inside. And Jones went back to his original on the right-hand side during last night's game. Now, I'm assuming he brought Burns off for that reason of bringing Jones back over. so McLaughlin could fill in that side. But if that's the one thing that's kind of holding Burns out the squad, because there is talk of him being recalled as well, which does leave us extremely short currently, whilst we have a couple obviously injury. Yeah, exactly, with Hughes being injured. So that is going to be a bit of an issue. But I would like to say he's done not anything wrong.
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't.
There was a moment in the first half where he nearly gave it away on the edge of the box when he didn't really have to.
Same with Jones, though. Jones did that as well in the second half.
Yeah.
You know, you can't really, that one little bit can't mess everything up. Whilst we've looked at, we've had these discussions before, and we've spoke about, say, McLaughlin, Sean, and he's made 7 or 8 of these errors, and is just not being there. Now, I'm happy that his last night he did a job. Did I feel safe with him doing the job last night, though? No, I didn't.
No.
I didn't feel safe at all. And I think a lot of us can do that and say nobody felt safe last night.
I don't know if he felt safe, to be honest. I really do. I don't think he looked comfortable in that position, did he? You know, he's just getting it a bit further back and a bit more centrally when he's playing left
there that McLaughlin's not a fullback. You're seeing there that McLaughlin's not a fullback, and that's the long and short of it. But I think now, like, just to finish on the game, Gelhardt, what a strike! Looks a good player. One of the best first goals for this football club for a player that I've seen in a long since Balumi, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I think it's time to talk transfers on Humber Wave Radio and the To Hull and Back podcast tonight. You're listening to Tigers Talk, and Kyle Rushworth, who started last night, has started our last 3 games, has been recalled by Brighton. That is because Jason Steele has got to have surgery, so Kyle Rushworth is gonna go in as their number 2 to provide competition to Bart Verbruggen whilst Jason Steele is out injured. And the Brighton statement, I'm just getting the exact wording up now, does say the former England under-21 international will return to the men's first team squad and is not expected to go back out on loan this month. So, what do you both think of that? Christian, we'll come to you first.
We already kind of knew something was going to be like about with Rushworth and going back. We always had that. Now, did we play him the last few games with hope that he wasn't going to get a recall?
Yes.
That's absolutely my query. Yeah.
100%.
And if that's obviously the possibility, I feel sorry for Panda, and you've mentioned it in our your little name tag here, Joe. Rachopi. Because
very right, Anthony Rachopi was on the verge of a move away because we expected Kyle Rushworth to stay, hence why we played him.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got to do some grovelling back to Anthony Rachopi, block the move to wherever he was going to go, and just say, "Look, Anthony, we were joking, mate. That's all. It was just a joke."
Yeah, we love you, really.
We're the comedians.
We got you, didn't we, Anthony? Yeah, you see.
The guy obviously will want to play. This is the thing. He wants game time. He deserves game time. He actually does. I know. All right, he had that one bad game with us, but he's no disputing his quality.
He had that one bad moment with us. Because the game was all right.
So, what do we do there? Do we keep like Panda on the bench and go, you know what, Anthony, you have a go. You have a go. I
don't think you can, because then you're treating Evo Panda unfairly again.
Exactly.
I don't think there's much, because I know the debate's been happening, Rushworth versus Panda. I think Rushworth's distribution was quicker and better.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But I think overall, Ivor's a better goalkeeper, better shot stopper. So it's like Rushworth, with him playing in 3 games, the fact he's being recalled isn't a loss necessarily. But if this was decided in the first 10 days of the window, as was first reported that it was going to be, then we're not in this situation where Ivor Panda's been dumped. And now we've got to go back and say, look, Ivor, yeah, we were wrong, mate. Sorry. We've got to go back to Rachopi and cancel his move. We've got to, perhaps then, if we still then move Rachopi on, I've got to go to Tim Lottatala and say, look, mate, I know you had a move to Crawley lined up, but we can't.
It's an absolute a right mess in it, to be fair.
Which is nothing wrong with keeping Tim.
There's nothing wrong with keeping Tim, but he needs a loan move to progress his own self as a goalkeeper, his own career. Same goes for Harvey Cartwright.
It's just an absolute mess, and it's such a big position as your goalkeeper, isn't it? You know, that you don't really want to have any messing with it. You know, as we say, Pando's been out for the last 3 games. Probably don't know why. I mean, the cup game maybe felt fair enough. It's a cup game. But the other 2 games, I reckon he thought he would be back. I'm not saying Rushworth shouldn't be first or should be first, but he'll have expected to come back. And now we've not got rid of him, lost Rushworth. As you say, it's going to take maybe not grovelling, but they're not going to be as happy, are they? Neither of them. You know, Pando's going to think, well, you've only put me in because you've got rid of him. And Rachopi's going to think, I'm on his second choice because the other kid's gone. You know, it's not leaving a very good position. And especially, it's such a big position as your goalkeeper. I don't know how we've got ourselves in this mess, to be quite honest, when we knew that Rushworth could be taken back.
It comes back to the summer, though, doesn't it? It all comes back to the summer.
Yeah.
We need to sign Carl Rushworth. We spent nearly £1 million on Anthony Rachopi. We had Ivor Panda, who'd started the season well, in spite of a dodgy pre-season. Rushworth comes in, can't move Panda out, then gets injured. And we thought, well, we were under the impression Rushworth's going to stay. That's fine. We can move Rachopi out. We can get him out on a loan with a view to a permanent, get some money for him in the summer. Because we've got Carl Rushworth. Whether he's a short-term number 1 or a short-term number 2, it doesn't matter. We've got him. All of a sudden, we don't have him, and we had exits lined up for potentially 3 goalkeepers, depending on how far along Harvey Cartwright is.
Yeah.
And again, it comes back to the summer where we're in this position because we did not need to sign Carl Rushworth. We got our keeper. We've got our keeper business sorted. But the option was there, so we went out and we did it anyway. And why? Because we were desperate for players. It didn't matter where they played or who they'd played for before or where they were from or anything like that. We were desperate for players. Goalkeeper mess.
The recruitment in the summer has had the effect on everything else, hasn't it?
It's
had the effect on all the season, to be quite honest, because it was poor recruitment. As you say, the Rushworth thing. We've got somebody from Young Boys who are in the Champions League. He's played in the Champions League. Pando, as you say, had a reasonable start to the season after the pre-season. Why get somebody else? We didn't need any. There's only one goalkeeper, isn't there? We had these couple of young lads. If we really needed a sort of, one of them got injured, we could put one of them in at the time. And it's absolute stupidity. Absolute stupidity. Let's hope we don't have to, rule the day we've done all this realistically.
Well, there could still be movement in the goalkeeper position before the window closes.
Yeah.
Which, to me, is just bonkers. But here we are.
It's Hull City, isn't it?
It's Hull City. And it was going too perfectly for the not to be a major bump in the road. And 2 came along in the space of a couple of days because, we'll talk about Sorba Thomas now.
Oh, God.
So this mystery winger people have been talking about for ages with a lot of championship experience, that was Sorba Thomas. Sorba Thomas, who you may know of Huddersfield Town fame.
Yeah.
Still at Huddersfield Town, but he's out on loan with FC Nantes in the French league, in the Ligue 1 at the moment. Wales international, 14 times a Welsh international. He's a winger, and that's why we wanted him. However, I think his contract's up at Huddersfield at the end of the year, so they wanted to get some money for him. That I think Huddersfield know Nantes won't take up that buy option. So Huddersfield have negotiated with us to try and sell Sorba Thomas. Fine, cool. What Huddersfield then, forgot was they have no mechanism by which they can end the loan and then, obviously, get him out of that deal with Nantes and then bring him back to England to sign for Hull City. So that's why it was so close to being done and now seems so far apart. And the longer this goes on, the more you feel that this is just going to drag on and on and on, don't you, Paul?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. You know, I mean, it's another sort of joke situation, isn't it, really? You know, I mean, you've got to if you want to play, you've got to know you can get him, and without a lot of trouble. You know, I mean, there's always a bit of wrangling about this and that and other. But you're hoping this other team will lay back. I just can't. I just don't understand where we're going with some of these. I mean, I've seen him at Huddersfield a few times. He looks a decent player. You know, he won't be a bad acquisition, I don't think. But if you're going after these players, you've got to know you've got a good chance of getting them, rather than, you know, hopeful chance of getting them. Because it has been put out for quite a while after this winger, and it looks as though now, what is the left about 12 years?
The club thought they had an agreement. They did, and they thought that everything was sorted. But then the issue arose at Huddersfield's end when they remembered, oh, crumbs, we can't end this loan. So I think if this is to get done, what's going to have to happen is we'll pay Huddersfield the transfer fee we agreed, whatever that might be. And then on top of that, there'll also be some compensation for FC Nantes as well.
Yeah.
Because we've taken a player that they didn't really want to let go. And Nantes already aren't too happy because we got Elliot Matazzo and they wanted him as well. So it's a right on mess, this, isn't it, Christian?
Yeah. It's
yeah. I mean, it's been like this since the start of the season, really, though, hasn't it? I mean, I think Danny in the chat's actually summed it up quite well, really. Goalkeeper mess, the Walter farce, the pitch is like a Sunday league standard, ACLs to our best player, and we didn't have a decent striker for, well, we still don't know what Carl's like at the moment, so it's going to be a bit of a strange one. And to be pinning our hopes on getting a winger that a club doesn't want to let go of, because obviously I'm referring to Ninty and not Huddersfield, because Huddersfield want to cash in. And I mean, fool them for not actually putting a recall clause in. I mean,
must have known they haven't, though,
you've
they?
got to put a recall clause in.
The only way that loan deal can be ended is if Nantes take up the buy option on Sorba Thomas, which kills our deal entirely, or Nantes voluntarily end the loan.
Ends it. Which they won't do, because they want to keep hold of him.
Mechanism in the contract, in the agreement to do that, because they don't want to lose Sorba Thomas. They don't want to sign him permanently at the end of the season, but they don't want to lose him at the minute.
Yeah, because they need him at the minute, but they're going to go for someone obviously different. I mean, right now, this doesn't suit Hull, obviously, with the winger predicament. I mean, we're looking at, what is it, Barry from Villa.
Yep.
I mean, do we just keep postponing that, or do we just go, right, look, we know we're not going to get Sorba Thomas. This is going to be a mess. We need a winger in now. We do. We need a winger in now. Let's put it all out there instead of waiting to the very end of the transfer market once again and realizing we can't get either of them and finding option number 3 where you open that door and it's not the player that's ever going to do anything completely.
Right winger form.
Exactly. And we're at a stage where we need to realise we can't keep waiting. There isn't enough games left for us to hold out. We don't want to be building a team for League One. We want to be getting a team to survive and stay in the Championship. And then, look, we all know you love spending money, Adrian, and getting new players in again. Well, guess what? You've got a summer market for that. So let's do the summer one. Let's just get it right now.
Well, yeah, look at how these last couple of Januaries have been. This January, we're repairing for the summer, which was a mess. And we're going to bring in 8, 9, possibly 10 players.
Which means you've got to get rid of a few, aren't you, as well?
Yeah. A few will go out. And Ruben Sayers said in the pre-match press conference the other day, he said that the number of players that are going to leave has risen because of the amount of players that we're bringing in has also risen. Chris Badia is just about gone. I'd imagine that'll be confirmed any day now. We've got Kyle Joseph sorted. Ryan Giles, that one's just awaiting announcement, I think, on his move to Middlesbrough. Ryan Longman, he is now going to Wrexham. That Oxford deal is off because Wrexham, I think, outbid. So they did manage to hijack that deal last minute. And Ryan Longman will be making his way to the racecourse ground and joining up with Phil Parkinson's League One side, joining up with former Tigers teammate Andy Cannon there. And then there is the possibility that Finn Burns goes back. He discussed that himself last night. So
what's happening with Omar at this time then? Is anybody coming in for him?
Abdush is injured at the moment. So that obviously complicates things. But it would not surprise me at all if he gets over that injury this month and then in the next week or so, however long it is, we see Abdush Umar starting to move out. You know, you look at the other players we've got who you earmarked as could leave before the transfer window opened. Malam's already gone. Badia's going. Giles is going. Longman's going. Finn Burns, I think I'd put my eggs in the basket of he's going to stay for now, but we'll see on that one. It wouldn't surprise me if Abdush goes. Obviously, Sinnick's here for life, so that's all right.
As long as he's getting his wages.
There's strong links that Xavier Simons could be on his way out.
Yeah, I think he's on.
There is truth to those rumours. I'm not sure whether he'll end up at the Swedish side or at another English club because there is other interest. But there is a very, very strong chance Xavier Simons leaves this transfer window. Brandon Fleming, who we recall, he's just going to go back out on loan or sold permanently. Andy Smith, I reckon, could get a loan move. Rachopi, Lottatala, Cartwright, we've spoken about them a lot already. So, and then we've still got players like Casey Palmer, Charlie Hughes, Balumi Miller next season to come back from injury. So we've got a lot of players here, and I'd imagine a couple of those will still go. Just on Louis Barry, Marsh says that he thinks Barry is the priority over Thomas. If Barry comes in, our interest will drop in Sorba Thomas. And Danny says we've got the cash. Maybe try and buy Barry outright with a Philogene-like clause in there. Villa want to give Barry a new contract before they loan him out. That's why he's not gone out yet. So Aston Villa are absolutely not in the business of letting Louis Barry go permanently. That will drag on until the very, very last days of the transfer window, without a shadow of a doubt. So we will not know if Louis Barry is to come in before either deadline day or the day before. I think anyway. We certainly won't know that Friday before the Stoke game, a week on Saturday, if we're getting Louis Barry yet or not. It will be a very last minute thing. And Adjan loves last minute things. And if we get Louis Barry in on deadline day, he's buzzing because he gets his deadline day drama. But it's not what we need. Moving on. to Lincoln Enrique and Elliot Matazzo. I saw a comment earlier about these lot from Coxey. Speaking of the signings, bit worrying how nothing's been announced yet. What's the odds they've jumped on a plane on them after watching us? Those deals are done.
Yeah, they're done. They're already done.
I can categorically say those deals are done.
What about the rumour that come out earlier on today, left back from Southampton?
Next thing on my list.
Brilliant, because
next thing on my list.
I've been screaming for a left back.
God knows we need a left back.
We haven't had many, have we, over the last year or so? We haven't had many left backs.
You don't understand like how every week for the past 2 seasons I've screamed for a solid left back. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think this is going to be. I mean, it's meant to be a short-term loan, from what I know or what I've read. But
yeah, it's a loan. It's a loan.
It's a loan. But we need one, like permanent to mould. We need. Do you know what? I need an Andy Robertson again. That's what I need. I need in my life.
So, Charlie Taylor, then. He is at Southampton at the minute. He's 31 years old somehow. That's flown by. He's been, he broke through at Leeds, had loans out from Leeds at Bradford, York, Inverness and Fleetwood. He joined Burnley in 2017. I think he made upwards of 200 appearances there or thereabouts for Burnley. Yeah, 220 appearances, scored 1 goal in the 23-24 Premier League season. In the summer, he joined Southampton, where he's only played 7 Premier League games so far. And Southampton, they're like a stockpile of left backs. They've got Ryan Manning, Kyle Walker-Peters, although he's predominantly right side, can play there. James Bree, again, predominantly right side, but can play there. A couple of others as well. So Charlie Taylor is one who's looking to get out on loan. And he's got an offer to come here. I think it's unlikely that gets done before Friday, because the game is Friday. And we're saying on Wednesday that we're waiting to find out if he says yes to the move finally or not.
Which goes in a kind of good stead, really, does it, if someone's taking that long on a decision?
I think it's unlike. I think they will still get their man. I think he will come back because he's a Yorkshire boy, originally born in York, came through Leeds' academy. So I think they'll get him because he wants to play. He'll want to play games. 100% he will. But I just don't think it'll be done for Sheffield United like they had hoped.
Which is a shame, isn't it? But
it is. You know. But he's a very, very astute signing.
Yeah, he won't be bad. At 31, it's not a bad age. He's had a lot of experience, as you say, 200 odd games for Burnley. You know, Burnley's always been sort of top of Championship, in the Premiership, so he's had plenty of experience. And we could do with that left back, couldn't we? Because we've got nothing at all, really. I mean, Jacobs does a job. He's not a bad left back, but he's wanting probably more of a backup at the moment, I would say, than your first choice with no backup. If Sean McLaughlin's your backup, it's not looking very good, I don't think, is it? So you really need a decent left-sided defender. And, it sounds to me as though he'll fit the bill perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, look,
it's on his end of season. That's fine, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Jacobs-wise, you've got to think, look, nothing against the lad, but he just needs a bit more time. I can see Jacobs being our permanent left back. I really can in the future.
I can't. With all due respect to Matty, I don't think he's a Championship level player week in, week out. On his day,
the moment, I don't.
Brilliant. On his day, he can be brilliant.
I don't.
He's not good consistently enough.
Yeah, no, I agree. At the moment, he isn't. But I would say in a bit of time, a couple of seasons, a bit more bedded in, a bit more roughed up, a bit more experience. Because you've got to think, we only brought him really in at the very back end of last season, really, to kind of come in and do a bit more of a job. And again, he's only been a bit in a partial player now. So I do think in a few seasons, I do. Right now, no, not a chance. However, because we've got nobody else, it's congratulations, Paul. The left back's what's yours because you're the only left back at the club.
If we don't get this Taylor for Friday, I think he's got to start, realistically, because you won't want to put McLaughlin there again, would you?
He has got to start. 100%.
You know,
Marsh, just on the lad at Celtic, Greg Taylor was one on a very long list of targets. So it was one we were interested in, one we were looking at, and we decided to pursue Charlie Taylor instead. I think we've got about 5 minutes left of the show.
Yeah.
So looking at Sheffield United, what changes would you make? Paul, you've got a minute.
Pando's obviously going to be in goal, isn't he? I don't think Louis Coyle's going to be fit, is he, for that game, but by the sounds of things. So you've got to play drama again, I would think, even though he had a poor game. I don't know. It's the middle of the defence. I'll put Jones back to right. Whether I'd put Finn Ben with him or McLaughlin, I ain't 100% certain. I don't think Finn Ben had a bad game, to be honest, but you know, I like the left footer, so I maybe would go with McLaughlin for that reason. And I would put Jacob as at left back. I don't think he could put out else. You would try and get one or two of the new signings in, I would think, to give him a game out, you know, because Slater didn't have a very good game, did he, yesterday? Maybe needs a rest. Pedro probably needs a rest, so you could probably take them two out. You know, Alzate and Puerta, you might be tempted to start with Crooks, you know. Yeah. He's probably still a little bit unfit, but you could bring somebody off the bench. And then up front, as I say, I'd probably start with Joseph, to be quite honest. Harry Vaughan, yeah, you'd probably start with him, wouldn't you? It's the left side, isn't it?
Yeah.
Haven't got us,
That's your minute. That's your minute, Paul. Christian, your minute starting now.
No, I agree. Pando at the back. We're going to have to go with Drabier on the right. The centre backs is a bit of a question mark because if you do play Burns, that means you're going to have to put Jones on the other side. Now, is that a good thing, or are we going to revert back and think, no, Jones is better on the right? Because he is better on the right. So that would, I would assume, bring Sean McLaughlin in at the centre-back partnership if Burns can't play on that side, because it doesn't seem that way, which would open up the spot for Matty Jacobs. I think Harry Vaughan will have to start on that left. For being positive and not get subbed straight away. I think Reagan Slater needs out. I think that's obvious. Who to put in for him, I just don't know. Pedro out as well. Obviously, Joseph up top. And we're going to start with Gellart on the right-hand side. So it's who to fill that middle spot.
All right, thank you, Christian. For me, Panda comes in goal. The back four, Cody Drama's got to be in. I think it's Alfie Jones alongside Finn Burns still, Matty Jacob in at left back. Alzate and Puerta stay in. I think Slater's got to be dropped out. Take him out the firing line. And I think in there you put either Matt Crooks or Elliot Matazzo. Probably more likely Matt Crooks. I think Gelhart's on the right. I'd imagine Kamara would come back in if he's fit, if not Harry Vaughan, which I'm not particularly happy about, but is what it is. And I would rest Zhao and put Kyle Joseph straight in up top. Score predictions then? Paul?
I'm going to say 2-0 Sheffield United.
Yeah, fair. Fair.
They don't score many goals, do they, normally? So, but they probably will get goals. So I can't see us scoring. You might do.
We could well do. Christian?
Joseph first game, if he's playing, it might be interesting. The positive me, this is the positive me, says 2-1 City. This is the positive me. The realistic me.
Says 3-1 City.
Yeah, it says 3-1 City. Says 2-1 United to Sheffield.
For me, 2-0 Sheffield United. I think it's a good performance, but I think they'll have a bit too much quality for us, being brutally honest. Although, as Nathaniel says in chat, need to try and grind out a 0-0. And then if we can hit on the counter and try and get one, perfect. This has been Tigers Talk, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in, whether you've been on the podcast or on Humber Wave Radio. Adi will be back next week. So on Humber Wave Radio, you guys will be able to WhatsApp in like these guys have in chat, and we've referred to some of your comments throughout the night. But from us, that's it. I've been Joe Collins.
Yeah, I've been Chris Sorensen.
And I've been Paul Wright.
And we will see you all to review the Sheffield United game and look ahead to hopefully another few signings in the offing if they're not in already, and the must-win game against Stoke at home a week on Saturday. Up the Tigers. Goodbye.